The premier audio and video experience in the United States this August 4th through the 6th. In Raleigh, North Carolina, Audio Advice Live is going bigger, bolder, and louder. Audio Advice Live is the best place to learn about the latest trends in high-performance audio, home theater, 2-channel, turntables, or headphones. Meet with the industry's top experts, brands, and influencers to hear all the latest and greatest gear live and in person. Register to attend now at audioadvice.live.
Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the Audio Advice monthly live stream and giveaway, where today we are joined with some of our good friends over at Audioholics and Monitor Audio. We're going to be talking about a lot of things and all things about monitor audio, speakers, home theater, 2-channel, whatever you want. But before we kick it all off, I want to invite you guys all again to Audio Advice Live, which is here in about 2 weeks. So it's going to be in downtown Raleigh at the Sheraton Hotel. It's going to be a massive event. If you saw the recaps last year, take that, double it, and that's going to be the show. So everything from entry-level turntables to, six-figure home theaters to Grand Wagoneers, whatever you can imagine, it's going to be there. So come check it out. Again, August 4th through 6th. We've got tickets still available, so go check it out on our website. But awesome. Well, we'll get in with the introductions here. So let's go around the horn here. So Mike, tell us, give us a little introduction. Tell us who you are, what you do, and this is a happy hour after all. So what you're drinking. Cheers, everybody.
Cheers, everybody. I'm rocking a little tequila because it's still early here on the West Coast. But my name is Mike Benedetto. I'm the VP of Sales for the United States for Monitor Audio and Roxanne.
Oh, awesome. Well, I think Gene blacked out a little bit, so Michael, we'll jump to you.
Sure, no problem. Hello, everyone. My name's Michael Johnson. I'm the Global Marketing Director at Monitor Audio Group, and been with the organization now for 7 years. So great to meet everyone on here. Thanks for joining.
Awesome. And the man, the myth, the legend. Oh, Gene, you're muted.
Gene Delasala, Audioholics. As you guys know, we're coming on our 25th year of being online. That's how old I am. And I'm celebrating with Maker's Mark. I brought a gun to a knife fight.
And for those of you who don't know me, my name is Nick. I am the lead home theater designer here on the e-commerce side. And I am drinking a beer from Steel Hands Tropical IPA. So cheers. But so we'll jump into, we got a few things we're giving away today. So for those of you who don't know, this is a Q&A driven platform. So we do have a question, or we have a prize for the best question, and we have a prize that's been our giveaway running all month. So just start it all off, guys. Tell them what you can win for the best question.
Okay, so the best question, we're giving away a pair of Monitor Audio Bronze 50s. These are our more of our entry to mid-fi product, a very popular product line. They're valued at $595 a pair. They feature a 5.5-inch mid-brace driver with our CCAM technology. CCAM is our ceramic coated aluminum magnesium drivers. That's one of our proprietary technologies, along with our 1-inch gold dome CCAM tweeter, which Monitor Audio is very well known for their gold dome tweeters. Again, they're a $650 value, or $595 value, excuse me. And I believe we're going to let the winner pick their finish.
Awesome. Well, it's a good prize just for asking a question. So we're looking forward to that. And then we also have the big door prize, which is what?
Oh, the big door prize is our Silver 207Gs. These again have they're a retail value of $2,200 a pair. These are probably our most popular and best-selling speaker in our lineup. The Silver Series is well priced. It punches way above its weight. In the past, it's won best loudspeaker under $5,000 a pair, and they sit around $2,200 to $2,400 a pair. These will feature two 5.25-inch, again, CCAM drivers. These are a little different in that we have our rigid surface technology. It gives us a lot higher rigidity, so we can have a lighter driver, but it won't distort, which creates distortion in your sound. The the drivers won't flex because they're very strong based with the rigid surface technology. And again, it has a 1-inch gold C-cam tweeter as well. Again, it for very extended high frequencies. Again, we're going to let you pick your finish. I love the white, but whatever finish fits your decor, we will let you guys pick.
Awesome. Well, thank you again for that, and good luck to everybody out there. I don't know who's going to win yet, so I'll get sent that here shortly. So fingers crossed for everybody. But jumping into it, so we had Audio Advice Live last year. Gene, you were there.
Yes.
So this room that you're familiar with the room they're going to be in. It was the big Hanover 2 room where we had the GTZ 380 last year. So this year we're coming back again. We stepped it up a notch. Got some new gear. So you guys mind telling us what you're going to be putting in there?
Sure. You guys stepped it up a notch. Last year's show was awesome. We were in a hotel room, which was our first event with Audio Advice Live. Obviously, it was your inaugural one, so we're proud to be part of the first one. This year, we decided to go bigger because, man, the people back in Raleigh in the UK have been very busy with product development. We have a lot of new products. A lot of the attendees are going to be happy to know that we're showing our brand new $90,000 pair loudspeakers called Hyphen. These are going to be featured in Hanover alongside our reference theater product Synergy, which we're doing quite a system utilizing our own proprietary CI integrated amplifiers as well. So we have a lot of products showing, and then we will also have a pair of our I believe our Platinum 200s in a special room, which will be announced later because we might have a special guest there in the room. So we'll save that for a little later. But yeah, we're really excited to be a part of this. I personally have been with Monitor Audio going on 7 years, but I've been doing business with Audio Advice for well over 25 years. So it's good to be back with them. I was with them with my old company, and it's great to be with them with Monitor Audio. And we're so stoked about the event. And if you guys could make it in September, or August 4th through the 6th, that would be awesome to see you guys there and check out these Hyphens are incredible. We can't wait to show them. It's a big step for us. It's a big swing, and we feel like we hit it out of the park. And Michael will talk a little more about that later on if those questions move towards Hyphen.
Yeah, well, let's. I just want to show everybody these speakers because whenever I first saw them, I think it was before they were released, and you guys showed us a few little pictures of them, and I was just like, it looks like it looks sci-fi almost. I love a funky looking speaker. I love these. So how large are they? Like, what are they?
They're actually relatively diminutive in terms of their height. So we purposely designed them to fit into conventional spaces. You know, not everyone has enormous rooms. I think particularly in the US, you probably have a little bit more real estate than we do. In Europe and in the UK, our houses tend to be a bit smaller. So the design team really focused on making something that was more room, let's call it room friendly. And they had a vision, a blank sheet of paper, essentially. The chairman was just very keen for them to sort of let rip, as it were, to sort of just design something that was gonna really put Monitor Audio on the map. You know, the brand is 50 years old. It was our 50th anniversary, and they released the Concept 50, which was the precursor to Hyphen. And it was really a test bed for the R&D team to sort of try out. I've seen quite a lot of messages about sort of metal driver technology. So maybe we can touch on that slightly as we talk about Hyphen, because it really takes the metal driver technology to, you know, another step forward. And we've tried to innovate quite significantly. So just taking a step back, Monitor Audio was one of the very first audio brands in the world, actually, to start developing metal cone drivers, because ultimately with paper cones, and you know, which are still made today, let's face it, it's the conventional way of making a speaker. There's a lot of flex and movement, particularly if they're being driven hard. Now there are ways of trying to prevent that with doping and things like that on glues and special materials onto the paper. But we felt that metal was really lightweight, really rigid, and under extreme pressure, remained more pistonic. And as we developed, so the first metal dome tweeters and drive units were sort of very early 80s on our stuff. And that's where the gold sort of started to come in to the range. And it's been a visual identity for the brand ever since. But the materials and the way that we've designed those has developed significantly. So we've utilized ceramic coated aluminium magnesium now for a number of years. But that has developed, it's got thinner, it's got stronger, it's lighter. We put, certainly for platinum, so the PL200s that will be at the show, they utilize a rigid diaphragm technology. So it's, the C-cam is the front part of the drive unit cone. Then we have a Nomex core, which is like a honeycomb, lightweight honeycomb, which adds real stiff rigidity. And then behind that, there's Kevlar weave to make it really, really strong. And that's what you find on the 4 force cancelled bass drivers in Hyphen. So these bass drivers, rather than face outwards, they're facing inwards. And Hyphen is a strange shape because actually the guys wanted to make a point source. And that means that all the sound radiates from one point. Very big wide dispersion, very spherical in terms of its sound stage performance. To do that, you need to get the tweeter and the mid drivers as close to the bass drivers as possible. Arguably, ultimately, what you want to try and do is like dropping a stone into water with all the ripples coming out and not being affected in any way. That's the ultimate point. So the thing that we've utilized within Hyphen and what makes it so interesting is that we've tried to push back the we call it an MPD, so it's a micro pleated diaphragm transducer. So it's like a ribbon tweeter essentially. It gives you very good linearity in the horizontal and the vertical, so you get a nice wide presentation of the sound. With 6 2-inch mid-range drivers placed around that as close as possible, and they're completely flat, so you don't get any diffraction. The interesting thing is, with something like a dual concentric driver, where you have the tweeter in the middle of a mid-range driver, the mid-range driver is still moving, and the sound waves are coming off and propagating across the front of that cone, but it's moving. So you can get sort of distortion and intermodulation effects happening. So with 6 individual smaller mid-range drivers, they still have one. So you get a very, very broad sound stage, but you've got a very linear and flat face for the tweeter sound waves to come off from. So you get very little sort of distortion and intermodulation, and it actually gets the waveguide as well. So when you listen to Hyphen, and that presentation, so the audio advice presentation, you're going to hear something that we hope is really going to impress you. For a pair of speakers that are relatively small, they're just they're about 1.5 meters tall. They're not enormous. They are extremely heavy.
about 60 inches tall, 58 inches tall, I believe, and they weigh about 350 pounds each.
Yeah, well, we're definitely looking for. I'm not looking forward to carrying those. I'm going to let you guys go ahead and carry those up to the second floor there. But it's going to be awesome.
Thanks.
Well, actually, we'll get Gene. Gene's going to actually hold him over his head and carry him up the stairs.
We'll get youth men to help me out with that.
They are significant in terms of their weight, but of course, we don't use a wooden cabinet. Obviously, on conventional speakers, that like pieces of furniture. These are like pieces of designed furniture.
Yeah.
But they're constructed from a thermoformed mineral acrylic stone. That sounds very fancy, but it's a very dense sort of resin that comes in sheets. It's then heated up and formed over the shape, and it's a clamshell. It's basically then cemented together. The 2 clamshells are cemented together, and they've got lots of internal ribs and the things to make that as rigid as possible. And it is really dense. That's why they're so heavy. the bass drivers essentially are connected together facing inwards, as I say, in a force cancel, so that position. So you've got 4 lots of 8-inch drive units in each speaker. So we've got 8 bass drivers across the 2 pairs. We've got 6 mid-range drivers and the tweeter. You've got 11 drive units in each speaker. What that creates is, as I say, an enormous presentation of sound. There is virtually no cabinet resonance or vibration because of the density of it. There's only 4 bolts that actually hold. It looks like a clothes peg, doesn't it? I won't say that too loud to the design team, but it looks like a little bit of a clothes peg. It's held together with just 4 bolts. So we have 3 bolts going into the bass drive units. It clamps everything together. All the connections are invisible. I think you've got a picture, Nick, of some of the parts. It's very minimal in terms. There we go. So you've got, just the screws there. You can see them. They're the things that are holding it all together. It's really minimal, but don't be put off by that. These things are absolutely incredible.
Are those all the screws that are in the speakers?
Yeah.
Wow. Well, I'm excited to see them in person. That's the big thing. And so you guys are gonna have a killer 2-channel experience, in a killer home theater. So just to kind of recap, you guys are doing, what's the configuration that you're doing in your room for the theater portion?
So the theater portion, we're doing a 7.4.4 system, I believe, full-on Dolby Atmos with our Synergy product, which is Synergy. I don't know, Nick, do you have any images of Synergy?
I do. Let me see.
Okay, Synergy is roughly, it came out in, I think we launched it in April or February or March of this year. This is your reference theater, high decibel output system, utilizing CCAM technology, the MPD tweeter that Michael just described to you guys. A lot of the same bass driver technology you'll find in Hyphen and in our Platinum product. So, the beauty of Monitor Audio is we're unique in the fact that every screw, everything in our speaker is designed by us and built for us and built by us. So we don't go and use a driver from somebody else and build a box and put these drivers in. These are all designed from the ground up, and the same is true. So even going from our bronze, so our levels go, bronze is where we start pretty much in the US with our traditional box. Then we go to silver. We have gold, which you'll see gold are behind me here. Okay. And then we go to platinum, and then platinum, obviously after platinum is Hyphen, and Synergy rides in there a little more, but Synergy, because of the high decibel ratings of it, obviously bigger magnets on the back of these things. They are heavy boxes. They're meant to be built into a reference grade theater, all THX certified. Along with that launch, we also launched our amplifiers to go with that. So we offer a 750x4, which can be bridged to 750x2, a 125x4, and a 60x4. All IP controlled, all DSP. You can change every little thing between brick wall limiting. You can set volume maxes. There's a lot you can set in these amps with the input and the output. So we can actually compensate for sometimes a weaker preamp, but most of our customers doing these systems are going with trim off, is what we'll be showing at Audio Advice Live with our amplifiers. So with a big Sony projector. I don't know what model number it is. The
GTZ 380.
Yeah. So we're going to have with Kaleidoscape, I believe, is in there, and I believe there's one other manufacturer in there.
VR.
Yeah. And it's going to be a killer system, and attendees are going to be able to go from listening to Hyphen, which is our 2-channel, the pinnacle of what we do, and then go in and then hear a phenomenal few clips of movies. We can't wait to show this stuff off to you guys. It's so exciting to have this product. Back to Synergy, there's only 4 modules. There's a 300, which is a tower. And the unique thing about the 300 is we can move those drivers around based on the height of the screen. So if you have a lower screen, you can move that mid-range tweeter driver down below and then have your 2 subs above, or vice versa. You can also lay these things in a horizontal position and rotate your mid-range tweet, which is great. Then we have a 200, which is just a smaller version of that. The 100s are really meant for smaller rooms, but mostly you're going to use those for your sides and your rear channels. You can also use them for your effect channels above if you need to. But because, again, we talk about how all of our products have that same tonal signature with the same technologies, they do pair well with our platinum in ceilings as well. So you have a great balance of product, and it's with a manufacturer. We have great profiles for those. Obviously, when you do a room, you want to tune it to the room, but the profiles will help us where we can, maximize the driving of for instance, subs are the most critical thing with our amplifiers. So driving the subs, they're dialed in to drive our subs, these amplifiers. So we're excited to show it. And then I don't want to take away from Platinum too, because the new Platinum range is again phenomenal for the price points. We have reps across the country, and some people say for $15,000 a pair for the 200s in Platinum, they don't have anything under 25 that touches it. So that's, if I could say that about Monitor Audio, we perform over our, at any price point, whether you're in the bronze range, you're going to get a better performing speaker. We like to say about 50% more of the cost, and we're still in the ballpark. And that's what we like to build. That's one of our philosophies is not making it so expensive. Yes, okay, Hyphen's an expensive speaker, but we have all that same technology all the way down our line. So based on your budget, you're going to find something from Monitor Audio that you're going to love.
Awesome. Well, we're looking forward to it. That's for sure. Yeah, that's just to recap, we're going to have the full monitor Synergy series, their Hyphens. We're going to have the Sony GTZ 380, which is absolutely killer. Mad VR, Kaleidoscape, Stuart film screen, some chairs in there. So we're looking forward to it for sure. But let's get jumping into some of the questions on here. So we got a few in the chat. I'm just gonna go ahead and
take it easy on us, guys.
Hey, I think you guys are pretty technical. So somebody said, what are the advantages? What advantages do the dimples on your mid/bass cones offer sonically?
Yeah, actually, we were just saying to Gene earlier, one of his last reviews, actually, and we'll change that. We'll get some speakers to Gene to review some of the new stuff. But one of the last reviews he did for Monitor was on the GR10. I'm pretty sure that was the first time we started to add dimples to the C cone. And if you think of a golf ball, that's probably the easiest, where the airflow over that driver cone, like a golf ball going through the air, it kind of helps the flow of air over that cone as it starts to move pistonically and under a lot of power. It also helps to keep it more rigid as well. It just adds a little bit more strength to the cone. So it kind of does two things, and that's been evolved slightly. And the shape of the circles and the size of the circles and the patterns actually all make a considered difference to the way that the airflow moves across the surface of the cone. So that's the reason, and it's constantly being looked at. And it's a small detail, but it's actually a really important one. And we're always striving for those small little, improvements to sound quality. I always like to think of it like a Formula One car. It's like they look the same sort of year in, year out, and there's like these aerodynamic changes. It's kind of like we're always striving for that small percentage of increase of performance every time. And it's really exciting. So yeah, that's the reason for the dimples and that development.
Awesome. Yeah, Gene, you're going to be measuring some of these speakers soon, aren't you?
Yeah, I think we're getting in the 500s. I know Shane Lee's going to do the video for us, and then we're going to have James Larson measure it. And back in the GR10, what I remember most about that speaker was it was the immediacy of the mid-range. Like to me, it was very vibrant, the vocals, especially listening to female vocals on that speaker. And in the past, I listened to the original Silver series, They weren't my favorite speaker at the time, but when I went to the GR10s, that was like a quantum leap forward. And that's when I became a Monitor Audio fan. And we haven't been reviewing your products, and we need to change that.
Yeah, we will. And these golds behind us, again, smaller drivers, but because of the rigidness, the amount of low end these produce without a subwoofer are pretty incredible. And people always come into our rooms when we're at shows and probably have the same effect with the Platinums. When they see them, is like, okay, where's the sub? And it is because of that rigidity and as Michael says, the air movement, which really helps a better sounding speaker.
Yeah. The other cool thing is you guys have a lot of diversity in your flush mount products. I mean, just the build quality of them and everything, and the fact that you're now speccing max SPL. I didn't see it on all your models. I just was kind of glancing at your website the other day, and I'm like, that's a useful spec for integrators, so they know how much speaker they need for a room.
Well, yeah. Tell the audience what max SPL is basically saying.
Basically, how loud it'll play with low distortion, right? I'm sure you guys have a distortion threshold that you have to meet in order to give it that spec.
We do, and one of the things that we're very keen to do is actually just be really transparent and honest with our recording and specifications. It's not always like that when you look at specs at different things, different speakers, different companies. They can record, and the plus or minus figures can be quite significantly different. But our technical director is very keen to be as honest and transparent as possible, because ultimately, it's if you have the right system, that sort of thing matters, and there's no reason to sort of gloss over that or bend the truth, as it were. So, we are, as an organization, very keen to be delivering, a product that we can stand behind and feel very confident about. And, we don't want any sort of cloak and dagger stuff. It's like, actually, that if you want to buy a Monitor Audio product, you can feel confident that, the information you're getting is absolutely on point, so that it'll give you the best possible, information to go and select your source and your amplification and all that sort of stuff, so that you can build a really fantastic system around them. So
a quick question I have for you, Michael, is the hyphen, is it a passive design, or do you have an active option for it?
It's a passive design. So I'm not going to lie. We have talked about active. I mean, as a category, I guess, our sister brand Roxanne, it's a British electronics brand that make turntables and streamers and amplification. There is the same engineering team, by the way, that our R&D team, about sort of 43 people, work across our acoustics and also our electronics and our hardware development. They're one team. So the discussions that those guys have about active, is very interesting. So all I'm saying, Gene, is watch this space.
And just if I could add on to that, Michael mentioned the 43, engineers. Pre-pandemic, we had only 18. So the investment, and again, one thing we should talk about a little, I'd like to always talk about is, Monitor Audio is still a wholly owned company. I believe we're one of the only few big speaker manufacturers that aren't answering to VC money, or we don't run our business on spreadsheets. We use our spreadsheets a lot, but these guys have the reins to do whatever, and you're going to see that at Audio Device Live with the hyphens. This was just hey guys, we want to build a speaker. We don't really care what the end cost is going to be, as long as we can manufacture it with our quality in mind. Let's do it. And they did a phenomenal job. And as I said, I don't know if it was on the stream or while we were getting ready for the stream, but the amount of product that is coming out of there. I mean, 2 days ago, we just launched our Anthra subwoofer series, which is killer. You guys could see that on monitoraudio.com. Unfortunately, we can't get it for Audio Device Live, but you guys will have it in store probably soon, not thereafter. But and then Gene had mentioned a lot of our flush mount products. I mean, we currently have about 110 custom SKUs, which is very high for a traditional box manufacturer. And again, what you're getting is all that trickle down technology. So at any price point, our in ceilings start at about $225 each, and we can go to $5,000 up to $5,500 in wall. And now with Synergy takes us to that next level. But again, same tonal signature throughout the line, and they've done a great job of really raising the bar and delivering performance. And not always performance doesn't always mean price. And that's one thing that I love about Monitor Audio, and that's why I love this company so much, and I love our future, because we, Michael came on board, I want to say a year ago.
Yeah. So I did a stint.
You did a stint before, but anyway, he's back, and his new team, he's added members to his marketing team. And you guys, when you're on the website and LinkedIn or Facebook or any social, you'll see a lot of the videos that they're producing, and everything is we're just continuing to take those steps up, and we strive for perfection, knowing we're never going to hit it, but every day we strive to hit it. So.
I think we got pretty close with Hyphen.
Yeah, no doubt.
We'll be the judge of that. No,
yeah.
No, I'm excited to check it out. Well, speaking of striving for perfection, we've got another question here. So,
all right,
what changes were made in the new and improved Silver 200 7G?
So again, Michael, if you don't mind, I mean, please. As Michael mentioned, hey, this is where, Silver was, this is where we're going. We just make minor refinements to it to improve the performance, and not necessarily always increase the pricing when we do that. So we have to be cognizant of both, of, how it fits in the marketplace, and thinking of our customers and budgets and that sort of thing. But I would say most of the innovation there was in a redesign of the waveguide, and then again another redesign of the RDT technology and the CCAM driver, changing the dimples. Maybe dimples change just a little in those drivers, but they make a huge improvement. And I think the one thing that separates us, and again, I don't know the behind the curtains at a lot of places, but with software now, we're able to design and test speakers before we actually manufacture them. So we're actually improving, like in other aspects of as technology advances, we can test a lot of those speakers to see where our deflection is, where our weaknesses are in an idea or a driver, and then continue to redesign that. So we're always looking to improve the product, change some electronics and crossovers, that sort of thing. Maybe adjust finishes a little to meet, decor, because we know our wives are an important factor in this decision as well. But we always try to, every 3 years, they're little changes, but they really reinvent themselves when you really sit down. And my biggest measuring tool are my ears. And I think that's what most people should look at, and not get caught up in all the specifications, and really have a good listen.
Yeah, I will just add, the engineering team spent an awful lot of time as well choosing crossover components, and that will be a significant difference between the old and the new. Obviously, the the engine, the driver, that has significant rework underneath the skin. So as Mike said, they might look slightly similar on the outside, but actually underneath that drive unit cone, the motor system's quite significantly changed. The crossovers have an awful lot of work done to them. Monitor Audio is known for its craftsmanship, its finishes of its cabinet. That's something that we're very proud of. We're a leader in metal dome driver technology. We have great craftsmanship, and as Mike sort of rightly said earlier, the price of the products is very competitive in the marketplace, and you get we feel a fantastic price versus performance versus sort of quality. It's when you stand them side by side and you look, I mean, the new Platinums, if you get a chance to go to Audio Advice, and you look at the products up close, even the THX Ultra certified Synergy series goes into a wall, and you don't see it, but the design details, like, incredible. The attention to detail is something that we're very proud of, and we really want to drive home that pride of ownership. So yeah, there's a lot of factors. The design and the R&D team and marketing team will work very closely together on delivering the very best possible products. So,
do you guys mind if I ask a quick question? I'm not trying to like be part of the contest. I just have a curiosity question.
Yeah.
All right, Gene, we're going to give you a set of speakers. Don't worry.
Yeah. Well, he's going to get but he has to send them back when he's done.
Yeah. I was just looking at your range. I'm interested in the lower budget stuff and just the drives that you guys have made over the years. Like the Bronze 500, for example. I think it's cool that a budget speaker that you're actually giving 8-inch cone drivers and some real bass response and high sensitivity. You say that the max SPL and that's 116 dB and you rate it as a pair. So I just want to be clear, if you want to rate it as one speaker, you just subtract 6 dB. So it's 110 per speaker, right?
Yeah.
That's still screaming loud for a.
They're an absolute weapon, actually. And I think that the thing is with Bronze, and there was a comment someone made about sort of building a system. The nice thing about monitor audio is that you can do that. I mean, Bronze, Silver, Gold, Platinum, Hyphen. You've got an ability to come into our family or our ecosystem, and depending on the available budget, you can start off with something like Bronze, and as small as the little 50 bookshelf, which is beautifully made. It sounds great. There's a lot of technology that's trickled down into the Bronze series, and you can build a system over time, and then you've got a path to upgrade over time as well. And monitor audio does have a sound, and of course, sound is very subjective. But there was another comment about how do what are you trying to achieve? Ultimately, we are just trying to achieve the very best possible reproduction of what the artist intended in the studio. It's as simple as that. We don't want to add anything or subtract anything. We want the recording to be as honest as possible. And I think, that even our lowest end speakers have the care and attention, and the same people that are designing our most expensive speakers designing those. And the method and the theory and the design, the transparent design philosophy that we have within our organization doesn't change, whether it's working on electronics, whether it's working on, integrated speaker solutions, or beautiful kind of 2-channel or kick-ass kind of, surround sound 5.1 or Dolby Atmos stuff. It all has the same mindset, the dogged determination to deliver the very best possible performance at those price points. And we try to cost reduce technologies so that we can bring it down into those ranges. So yeah, the Bronze floor standards, with 8-inch drive units, it's a lot of speaker for the money. And it's a great range to start off in the monitor audio brand.
And Gene, real quick, if I could just add on, when you go to the Silver, we're probably one of the few manufacturers still in that price point that when you do our wood finishes, you're getting a book match veneer still. So we still do an A and a B on our serial numbers. So they're off consecutive rolls of the log. You're getting the same grain patterns on both, where most have moved to a melamine or a vinyl wrap. We're still using veneers in that range, which I don't know of anybody else who's doing that at that range. So again, I think you're going to get a little more bang for your dollar with our product. And then to circle back, I missed the point on the, what's new about the 200s. It's the same with every version of speaker. They sound better. They're more detailed. They have more dispersion. They're just going to have more transparency in the sound. To Michael's point, we're just trying to recreate what the artist and the producer wanted to make that track sound like, and we're trying to reproduce it as close as possible.
Well, you may have just answered this question. Yeah, you teed it up, or I teed it up. So
I win the speaker. We win the speakers, Michael.
I think so. But it was saying, what's the most noticeable audio difference between the Bronze and Silver series speakers?
If Michael, if you don't mind, and because we pitch this to our dealers all the time, and the beauty of what our dealers love the most about monitor audio is, if you think of if we took a platinum speaker and put 2 sheets over it, right? If we put 2 sheets over it, now it's going to sound like a Bronze speaker. We pull a thin layer off, and now you're going to get silver. Then you pull that layer off, you're going to get platinum. So as you go up in level, the tonal signature, if you will stay the same. You're just going to get, again, a lot more detail, a lot more lower end, a little more bass, a little more less distortion, a lot more detail. So you'll start to hear more nuances in tracks that, oh, I never heard that before. It's almost like going from an MP3 to, going up in streaming quality. You get, oh, I heard a drumstick fall to the ground. You're going to start to hear more of that as you go up, and it's just going to be a little more detailed. That's the sales pitch. I'll let the marketing guy give his pitch.
Well, look, I mean, you're quite right. There are steps up in performance, and I always come back to sort of like a car analogy, a performance car analogy. If you were buying into a Porsche, you would, as you go up the range, you would get bigger engines, more like higher quality materials, more aerodynamics, and that's kind of, that application is the same for our loudspeaker ranges. And as I said before, we are trying to trickle that technology and cost reduce it into getting the very best materials into those ranges. So as you go up the range, of course, we have more money to spend on the development, on the design, on the materials, on the crossover components, on the cabinet structure. So bronze is a veneer, sort of a vinyl wrap. Then silver, you've got real wood veneers, and the quality of that is significant. But then you've got all the drive unit technologies and all that sort of stuff. So there is a significant performance increase that you would hear. And of course, it's not just about the speakers, it's about your source, about your cables, and stepping up your amplification. But the nice thing is, as I said before, you can do it over time. And replacing speakers on your existing system could make a significant difference to your enjoyment of that system. So sometimes upgrading the speakers is a good way to go to get that immediate hit of difference, and then you can look at other components within your system. But they're all great. It just again, I'll come back to it. It comes back to the money that you have available to spend, and you won't be disappointed with something like bronze, but if you taste silver and you think, oh, hang on, there's something to shoot for. It's good, and that's what we want. We want our customers to get excited about being part of our brand family, and we would love to retain you and for you to be part of that, because as Mike said earlier, we have an awful lot of product coming, and we're very passionate about what we do. So yeah, we want to share that with you, or as many people as possible.
May I ask one more question?
Okay. Yeah.
So your platinum line has an AMT tweeter, and I know for years it's been a challenge to get good dynamic range from AMTs, and luckily they've evolved over the years. Did you guys have to do anything specific to your version, or you're not using an off the shelf? What made you transition from a dome to a AMT in your second to flagship line, basically?
This is definitely a sort of technical director question, but I'll do my best, Jim. So,
you, Michael.
Okay, so we had the sort of the 25 mil gold dome tweeter that was in a lot of our ranges. The guys felt that there was better performance. Now, I will just reiterate, nothing that we develop within our speakers is off the shelf, as Mike touched on earlier. We design, develop in-house in Essex in the UK. We have a 67,000 square feet facility, and we have a team that work there, and we have a team based in China. We used to manufacture all of the stuff where we are currently based in the UK. We now do that in China. We hand build Hyphen, by the way. It's the first speaker that we are now engineering, designing, developing, building in the UK. So we're really proud of that. And that comes back under the roof. And we've got technicians that are building those, hand building those for our customers. So that's really great news. But back to the point. So the typical AMT, I believe that they went to that because they could get higher performance, and actually combining that with a smaller mid-range drive unit so that it had they did that so that they could extract a very linear kind of sort of bandwidth performance from the two working very, very closely together, so that the mid-range drivers had a wide bandwidth, but were covering some of that of the tweeter bandwidth. So it's a very smooth transition between the two. And I think that they worked very hard on the development of the sort of the infrastructure that sits around that AMT, that MPD ribbon tweeter, essentially, so that they can just extend the directivity and the performance of that in a horizontal plane and a vertical plane. It's probably not the best way that I can describe that technology. Gene, your question is a bit beyond me. It probably takes our technical directors to come in and really nail that one. But
no, I've heard those at CEDIA a few years back, and I was really impressed by the sound of them. They're very transparent, very open and airy sound that they project.
Definitely creates a wider sound field, and it gives us better directivity than a standard round tweeter.
Yeah.
And it just, they feel that they can maximize the sensitivity going through sort of like an AMT, and they just get greater performance from it. I think that's essentially what it is. So when you start moving up through to the golds, to the platinums, and to the hyphens, you're getting that technology within there. So I hope that's clear.
Yeah, and that's pretty good, Michael. But increasing the number of the pleats, it reduces the overall height of the driver, so we're able to make that tweeter play flat to about 60 kilohertz. So it really adds and obviously we can't hear that, but you can still hear remnants of that throughout the sound. And to Gene's point and Michael's point is it just plays. There's a lot more air in it, and it adds that sense of height to a track. So it's again proprietary design, but based on that technology. Again, we love doing everything in house.
Awesome. Well, here's a little bit more of a general question that we've got on here. Let's see. Are there different consideration when building a surround system for listening to music versus listening to home cinema? I get this question a lot, and I want to get your take on it.
Yeah. Well, again, when Synergy came out, we're like, oh, this is a theater product. But when we started to do installs, and we're lucky enough and fortunate enough to fly around the country and listen to some of these systems, and because we're using a lot of the same driver technologies, right? When you put this thing in 2-channel mode, they image like a tower speaker, and so they are very, very musical. And again, that's where again, it's always subjective or objective. Where do you do more theater? Do you do more 2-channel? And that's where you make decisions. But we sell a lot of our platinum in walls, which again are the same drive units in our platinum towers, or we have a equivalent for our gold, the gold 200s that you see behind me. We have an equivalent that goes in wall, and those will image like a box speaker. They're not going to play down as low because they're in a wall, but obviously if they're in wall and you're doing a theater, you're going to have subwoofers as well for your low effect channels anyway. So again, yeah, there is some consideration, but the biggest consideration that I would always go with is, go with an audio company who designs good speakers, because it'll translate well in the theater, where some manufacturers are really good at theater, but don't think about 2-channel, if that makes sense to you guys. I think that would be my best advice, is pick the sound that you like, whether it's ours or somebody else's. All of us have different flavors. And, go with something that sounds good in music mode, and most likely their center channels and subwoofers will translate into good theater as well. But if you're going to build a purpose-built theater, then you might want to go with a reference system like our Synergy system, which does both very, very well.
Awesome. Any other thoughts?
Your flush mount products, they have back box options?
They do. Yeah,
they do. Yes, we have a range called Control Performance, which is another unique thing of innovation that we consistently strive for, is having innovative product. The back box is actually built in, and you could retrofit the back box.
Nice.
So, which again, people will do a theater, do a room, and then all of a sudden decide, oh, that child's room or the wife's above in there, and a lot of music is escaping. Well, you just pull the other ones out and you put these in. Same opening, And this wasn't really, again, at Audio Advice Live. Sorry, guys, but we are in the process of, at CEDIA this year in September, we're launching a brand new custom line that it's going to blow everyone's mind because our current custom is probably, again, 7-year-old technology. And now we're bringing it up to new drivers. Again, custom doesn't change as much as our box product does. But we like to do incremental changes. We did an incremental change 3 years ago in custom, a very minor change. This is a complete redesign from the ground up. We're getting rid of probably 40% of our actual assortment of custom for this new line, but we're actually going to have more solutions in that line, the way these guys design the product. So some products will have multi-use. Okay, so they can be used as an FX speaker, or they can be used as a 2-channel speaker in ceiling. Okay, so there's a lot of technology in that as well. So Gene, your original question was about the in-wall.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of in-wall speakers, they don't include or even have options for back boxes from other brands, and I think that's an oversight. I mean, it's something really important, I think.
Yes, and we do make an enclosure as well for all of our speakers. It's that can go in pre-construction as well. But again, if you're in a situation where you're doing a retrofit, a room where you didn't realize you're going to have that much bleed through to the next room, you could pop them out and put these in, no problem at all.
Yeah, and I definitely think it depends on the in-ceiling speaker too, or in-wall for that matter. It's just because when it comes into back boxes, some speakers are designed with infinite baffle. They want a certain amount of volume behind the speaker, and so people will just throw a generic thin back box on there and then wonder why their performance took a hit.
Exactly.
So yeah, if you guys make your own, then yeah.
And that's why we call it control performance, because it's a known entity. That depth of that enclosure is going in. Now, as we move into our higher end in walls, they're all control performance. But in this new line, we have it's going to be a Synergy 100 that basically is a medium sized speaker, which we spec the amount of back box you should have. So when you're doing systems with that, these are going to be in the $1,500 to $1,700 each speaker, where your custom integrator would design a back box in the wall for that, and we give them the proper dimensions that they need. So we didn't do control performance in our higher because people are paying for that extra performance. We want to give them that performance.
Awesome. Well, let's see what other questions we got here. Looks like we got one from Dan. It's well, how was the off-axis response with the AMT tweeter?
Well, that's a good question, Dan. It's listen to it and you'll find out, I think.
Yeah.
Go on, Mike, do you want to go for it?
Yeah, I'll just say from a layman's point of view, I can't give you the technical, the actual measurements and specs, but I can tell you when we're listening to these, which also these golds have an AMT tweeter as well. But when we're setting up at shows and we're walking around the room, you're still getting that imaging. It's not like you need to be in the sweet spot to really listen to these speakers. There is a wide sound stage that because they're so flat and they can go so wide, you do get a bigger sound stage with these products, and they're not so need to be pinpoint accurate, where you need to be always listening in the sweet spot. And if you're off axis, it's going to sound funky. You're not going to get that to an extent. What that extent is really depends on the room it is, how many pieces of glass you have, how many openings of doors. There's a lot that goes into that. But as far as off axis listening, for sure, these things from silver, even bronze, I mean, they all image very, very well.
Yeah, because you said you were running a 4-channel in your own living room, right? For a while, you didn't even have a center channel.
Yeah, exactly. I was running a 4.0 system, and to Michael's point about mixing and matching, I have a $7,000 pair of loudspeakers here, but I'm running radius rear channels because that's all that would work in my room. And tonally, you don't really discern a difference. And with with rear surround. Again, I was running a 4.0 system with no subs, and we had plenty of bass. And I finally went to a center channel because I didn't really care for the mixes that were happening on Netflix, and a lot of these streaming services were always like, what did they say? Rewind it back, you know? So put a center channel in just to get a little more, so I could boost that center channel to get a little more detail as far as voice, but that's more of the mix rather than if I'm watching a Blu-ray, I don't have that issue as I do with streaming services. So I don't know why that is. It's just the way it is for me. But I mix and match our most expensive with our least expensive, and it works great.
Of course, if you watch a Christopher Nolan movie, you can't hear the vocals, and regardless if it's center channel or not.
Exactly. I think did he do Dunkirk? Because yeah, that one was a tricky one.
Yeah,
I know. There's a really good Vox video about how dialogue's getting harder and harder to understand, and
Yeah.
it really is. Christopher Nolan is notorious for that. He's like, he says he designs things for the best theaters.
Yeah.
And, I'm playing it in a I don't think any of us have bad sound systems by any means, and it's still hard to understand. But
yeah.
No, I have a program. I have a button program on my remote that is CC. So when we're having a tough time, you just hit the closed caption and you read it.
Mhm.
But yes, to your point, Gene, it is kind of tough with his films.
Yeah, and I don't know if you guys discussed the waveguides. The last question, sorry, going back to it, was about the off-axis response, and your waveguides. I'm sure help with that quite a bit. Do you kind of know what general angle you're looking at on your speakers?
Yeah, I mean the waveguides have been improved considerably, particularly on the AMTs. The guys really want to, as Mike touched on, sort of create a very wide sort of dispersion and directivity ultimately. In terms of the specification of those or the details, I'm afraid I don't know the exact sort of specs, but essentially, it's just like there was a question actually that I was reading about on the actual grill patterns over the gold dome tweeters, and does it make a difference? And it actually does. Those sorts of things really do impede or help the sound dispersion come off the high frequency. So it's really important. And the guys spend a lot of time and effort getting those patterns right so that the sound waves can propagate out, and we really can sort of maximize the sound stage and maximizing the sensitivity of the tweeters. So.
Awesome.
And Nick, I'm just going to say, for any more of really in-depth technical questions, the bonus is if everyone goes to Audio Advice Live, we're going to have one of our technical gurus who actually designed a big part of Hyphen will be there in person, and if you can stop him, have at it, because he definitely has a lot of knowledge of the product. And next time I'll get off and I'll let Michael and our technical director or somebody else do it so they can really get into the nuts and bolts, because I'm lucky enough that sometimes I get to share a beer or a drink with these guys, and they educate me so much on products. It's amazing.
Yeah, we're definitely looking forward to it. I'm sure that I'm going to get, anytime I go to one of these shows, I ask a million questions myself. I'm bad about it. And speaking of questions, Gene's going to be on one of the panels that we're on. We're going to have some panels there with a little bit of Q&A. We're going to modify it a little bit from last year, but we're going to have a fair amount of panels there. So come prepared.
Cool. I'm going to ask him some zingers then too, because he put Michael and I on the spot today. So.
Oh no.
Awesome. Well, let's see. Gene, did you see any other quick questions you want to ask? I think we got time for about one more before we do the giveaway answers.
I mean, so how many demo rooms are Monitor Audio? Is it just going to be the Hyphens are going to be in the same room as the cinema series as well, or is it going?
Yeah, they're a little divided. So we're going to actually do basically have two presentations. We're going to let them hear all the details, and then we're going to blow their eardrums away. That's basically the plan. No, they're going to hear Hyphens and see them, be able to see them up close, listen to them. We have a killer system that Nick helped us put together, and Billy over at Audio Advice. We're going to have, I believe we're driving them with Mark Levinson 50th anniversary product. So these do require horsepower, but obviously at 90 grand, you're not going to put a 4-cylinder in a Ferrari, right? So you're gonna want some horsepower. So we're definitely gonna have some horsepower there. And then in the next room, we're gonna have a lot of horsepower with our Synergy system. That's a reference theater that can go up to 130 plus dBs of sound. So it can get loud. And
I'll bring my earplugs.
We don't do that to people. Obviously I'm somewhat a musician. I mix for a living, or not for a living, but on the side. And so hearing is definitely always important to me. In our demos, we don't have to play it loud to make it sound good. But it will go a little loud for sure. But yeah, no, we're excited. And then the Platinum Room, we're going to have some vinyl playing in that room. And like I said, we might have a special DJ there, which will be announced a little later on. We're excited for that. And yeah, it's gonna be an exciting show. We're stoked.
Awesome. Well, we are looking forward to it, guys. Well, I think it's about that time to start announcing some of the giveaway winners. So for the best question, this is one that I think sparked a lot of interesting conversation. Got Anthony Perez here with what advantages do your dimples offer in the mid-bass cones? So Anthony,
all right, Anthony.
Yep. Reach out to us. We'll get your prize set up, and we're looking forward to it. Now for the big question, or the big giveaway winner. Let's see here. Hold on, let me get a drum roll while I find this.
Oh, I don't play drums. Sorry.
All right, we'll make it work. All right, so we got John Christie from Staten Island, New York, for our big ticket winner. Yeah, reach out to us, guys. We'll get you set up with those, and hope you enjoy your system.
Yeah, for sure. Pick your finish and then let us know how you like the speakers, guys. Congratulations. Nick and Gene, thank you again for the time. This has been awesome. It's my first broadcast with you guys, so we appreciate the time. We're excited again for Audio Advice Live. It's going to be a phenomenal event, and I'm hoping most of these guys, I know there's some people long distance, but I tell you what, you're going to see some really good audio in the 3 days that it's going to go on. It's worth the trip.
Oh, for sure, guys. So yeah, definitely come out. This is going to be one of our biggest events. Monitors one of our probably 7 or 8 big theaters there. But I'm hoping you guys are going to be the best. But again, thank you everybody for coming out, and we look forward to seeing you at Audio Advice Live.
Awesome. Looking forward to it as well.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Yes. Take care.
All right. Bye-bye.